So today we're going to analyze a song by Tina Maze. And if you've never heard of Tina Maze before, don't worry. I hadn't before the Olympics. She actually is a Slovenian alpine skier who won the gold medal. Actually, she won two. But it turns out that she is also a Slovenian pop star. So I thought it'd be cool to take a look at one of her songs. So since this is the first time, let's go through the process. So remember, we go to YouTube. We will find the song, Tina Maze song. Looks like she only has a couple. And here it is. My Way is My Decision. So let's click on this, go to the URL and copy it. Go back to our hook pad, and we're going to click on Options and attach a YouTube. Then you will paste the YouTube link into the box and click Load. And bingo, here is the song. Okay, so the first step here is to sync the song. And again, we will go through this process since this is the first video. So the way we sync is make sure that the radio button that says Set, Start, and End is checked. It's checked by default. And we're going to seek to the section of the song that we want to analyze. So today we'll do the chorus. So let's hit play here and kind of look around. So, sounds like the verse. Okay, so here's the chorus right here. So to set the start time, we're going to hit the left bracket key on the keyboard right when the chorus starts. And to set the end, we hit the right bracket. So left bracket to start, right bracket to end. Now, when you're doing this, it's important to know the number of measures in the section. So what we're going to do is, as we're setting the start and the end of the section, we're also going to count the number of measures in between the start and the end so that we know how many measures to add to our project. All right, let's get started. Ready, go. So, ready, and left bracket. 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and we're going to stop here. Okay, so this chorus is actually a little interesting, right? Because typically a chorus will have a multiple of 4 or 8 actually measures. So 8 or 12 or 16. This actually has 14, which is 2 measures short. So what we're going to do is we have 8 measures here. I'm going to click the plus to add a new line, and we will shrink this by 2 measures. I'm going to click Test the Sync, and then we will replay it with the P button and make sure that the measures line up with the song. So, P. Okay, so pretty good. Notice how the measures are hitting basically on every time the scrubber hits a line. That's delineating the measures. So to me, this kind of sounds like it's in the minor mode. I hear the tonic actually as the first chord right here. And I think there's actually probably a dominant somewhere in here too. So we're just going to go with that. So the first step here is we probably need to pick the key right. Now, if you have a piano nearby, you can kind of hit some keys. We want to hear that tonic note right there. Da, that note. I think that's like an E flat. So let's try D sharp minor. And I'm just going to hit the 1 key. All right, so that looks good to me. Okay, so now let's fill in the chords. So, like I said, I hear this chord's a 1. Sounds like a 4. Okay, so this is actually a fairly famous progression that's kind of known in classical music as descending fifths. So the way this works is you go 1, 4, 7, 3. So basically we're just subtracting 5 every time. So if you start with a 1 and you go down 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, then that's how this progression goes. And you can actually keep going all the way until you get back to 1. But I believe she actually repeats this again. So let's yeah, okay, so back to the tonic here. So I'm going to copy this over to the next 4 bars. So let's have a listen to that. And again. Okay, so now this changes. Okay, so here, instead of going to the 1, you can kind of call this a deceptive cadence of sorts because we've repeated this twice, and now we kind of expect this to go back to the 1, but instead we take a turn and hit the 6 instead, then the 7. Okay, sounds like a dominant, right? So this one here, that sounded like the tonic. So this dominant must be 5 of 1. So we can get that 2 ways. We can either borrow from the major mode, like this, or we can functionalize this by making this a 5 of 1. Here we get the major quality. So I'm going to do it like that, just to emphasize that this is actually a cadence. Okay. So we got a 4, and then I believe this is a 7. Yeah. So in the major mode, this actually is the dominant, right? So let's switch this temporarily to the major mode, just so you guys can see. Remember that the major mode often in these types of songs functions very similarly. So the tricks that we see here can be used in the major mode too. So 6, 2, 5. So really, if she wanted to start like the next verse in the major mode, she could easily go back to the 1 here, but she doesn't. She stays in the minor mode. So let's go back to minor. Okay, pretty good. So we have the chords. So now let's throw in the melody. Okay, so da, that's the 5, right? Da, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we got a quarter rest, then looks like we have some 8th notes, so I'm going to hit J for 8th notes, so 5, 5, 4, 3, I think 1, let's listen to that again. Okay, it actually stays on the 3. Okay, and then this sounds like it just kind of repeats, so I'm going to throw some rests in here. Just kind of repeats verbatim, actually. 5, 5, 5, 4, 3, 3. Okay, third one sounds like it starts off the same, but then we kind of drop a note here. Okay, so we go down to 1, so I'm going to split this note right here. It's syncopated. Go down to the 1 like that. Okay, something very similar. It's a little different. Let's hear what happens. Okay, it looks like there's actually a pickup. I think it's a 1 pickup here. Actually, I think it's a 5, or 7, sorry. Okay, this time we go up to 4, back down to 3. Okay, so here we are back on 3, so let's do a rest. I think I might have gotten that rhythm wrong. I guess 8th rest. Yeah, so let's change this to an 8th. And that just repeats verbatim again. My way is my decision. My power is my vision. Okay, so let's go rest, 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 rest. And I'm going to copy this. so we got some O's. I guess we'll put those in. Might as well. Da, O. So we got a 8th note. Sounds like. Okay, yeah, that's right. 3. Okay, 3, 2, 2. Hit the wrong. Keep hitting the wrong note there. Okay. Oh, that's why it's 5, 4, 4. I'm thinking of the major mode. All right. Okay, I'm a little late, so let's move this back. Okay, so that sounds pretty good. Let's just run through it one more time to make sure we got it right. Okay, pretty good. So let's talk about this a little bit. So what she's doing basically in the first 8 bars, this is what we call basically repetition, right? So if you're writing this, it kind of makes sense why you would write this melody here on the 1 and the 4 chord. Scale degree 3 here kind of turns this 4 chord into a minor 7. So even though it's not technically stable here, this is a pretty good melody over these 2 chords. If you're writing, on the other hand, the melody from scratch over these 2 chords, well, it's okay. Yeah, okay, it's not bad. Typically, if a melody isn't super strong over these chords, the fact that you've done it once here gives you a little bit of latitude here to kind of repeat the same melodic phrasing, even if the chords don't line up super correct, which is a technique that you'll see in a lot of songs. Okay. Second time, we are changing the melody a little bit. Notice that instead of hanging on scale degree 3, she actually comes down to the 1. That gives us a little more stability here, right? Because the 1 is actually in this 4 chord. You can contrast. That's that minor 7 sound I was talking about. Okay, a little more stable. Here we're kind of changing this. This is kind of nice going up to scale degree 4 here. It kind of gives a mini suspension on the 3 chord. Gives us a little more closure. Okay, what are some other things we could have done with this to make this a little more exciting? Well, as I mentioned before, this 1, 4, 7, 3, that's descending fifths. So one thing we could do actually is we could just continue the descending fifths. Let's say we change the last 4 bars, which are just repetition, and we just continue the pattern. So 1, 4, 7, 3. Then the next is 6, 2, and we'll do 5, and then 1. And I'll make this a dominant, just to make this a better cadence. So I'm actually going to go 5 of 1. And just to make this 2 chord sound a little better, I'm going to actually make this a 7 or a 7 chord. This is going to give this a half diminished quality, which makes this scale degree 1 now stable in the chord. Let's see how that sounds. Okay, so actually pretty good. This scale degree 7 obviously doesn't fit with this because we need a sharp. So you could either change this to a half a step up, or we could pick another note in this chord. For instance, we could do scale degree 2. So little more interesting, right? Not to say that all songs need to have this much variety. In fact, a lot of songs just do repeat the same 4 chords over and over again, and they turn out fine. So let's actually undo that. Okay, what other things do we notice? So one thing that stands out to me here is this 6, 7, 5 of 1, 1, which I think is a pretty cool little thing here, right? We haven't heard the 6th chord yet, so it's really, really refreshing to hear this sound. In hook theory, we often talk about this idea of deception and harmonic deprivation. So the idea here is that we haven't heard this 6th chord throughout this whole chorus, even though this is a very, very complete kind of sounding chord progression. So when we do hear this, it's quite refreshing. And to top that all off, when we hear this 3 chord, we do expect it to go back to the 1, as I mentioned before, but instead we hear this new chord, which is a really nice sound. Okay, another thing is that, these bass lines are kind of bouncing around, but this one is very linear, right? So we start on a 6, 7, and we land on the 1. This is kind of like growing in intensity as the bass line ascends. So one really good technique that you guys could use, instead of going down, I feel like, so we have a 6, then we have a 7, then we go down to the 5 before the 1, is to actually bridge this. Okay, so how do we keep the quality of this cadence the same while bridging the bass lines? Well, we just invert this. So let's actually turn this into a 5, 6 of 1. And so now we go 6, 7, 7 sharp, and then 1. Let's see how that sounds. Okay. Now of course it's a matter of taste. I actually think that works out really, really well. Some of you might take issue with these scale degree 1s over this 5, 6 of 1. It kind of sounds a little awkward. We could actually change this to like 2, for instance, or something like this, 2, 2, 1. Or you could even get cute and try to do something even fancier, like raising these even higher. We could do something like so lots of possibilities there. And one last thing I'll do, because we're running out of time a little bit, is just quickly mention that if I do switch this back into the major mode, we'll see that this progression 4, 5, 5, 6 of 6 to 6 is something that we see a lot in popular music and is really just a good thing to keep in mind. Okay, so that's all the time we have here today, so I'll save this tab. You guys can find this under my username, Ryan's Tabs. And if you have any suggestions for songs for me to take a look at, feel free to give me an email at ryanstabs@hooktheory.com. All right, thanks a lot, guys. See you soon.